Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Slot.it video. This video is not about a specific product this time, but it's a tutorial about how to turn a Policar Monoposto into a car that can race on the Carrera Digital D132. So, you have acquired a Policar Monoposto. And you want to race it on the Carrera Digital 132. I'm going to show you how to do. It requires some tools, screwdriver, pliers. This is a Phillips head screwdriver to assemble the car, pliers, we'll see later what those are for, and you need some soldering capability. You have to be at least capable of soldering thin wires on the PCB of the digital D132 chip from Slot.it, called SP43, without damaging it. So you need some soldering skill to do that. Let's start. We take the car out from the box. There's the extra chassis underneath the car, plus Allen key, a few grab screws, usual Slot.it and Policar stuff. And now we have the car in our hands. We remove the screws and put them aside for when we would put the car together. You have to remove this screw and these two, two. Don't remove the motor mount screws. You don't really need to do that. Actually, you don't want to have the motor mount in the way when you do this job. Okay, first thing to do, you have to do it carefully. You have to separate the two Slot.it connectors. If you've done that before, if you are aware of how to do that, you may have already learned from our videos that you do not have to pull on the wires. Never ever pull the wires like that. Put your thumb and index finger on the white part on the plastic and pull. The first time it's a bit hard, then once you do it a few times it becomes easier. Make sure you're not pulling on the cables, because you may end up pulling the wires from the connector, and at that point you'll have to buy a spare wire and resolder everything, and it's not what you want. Second step, route the wire above the front tire like this, and take note, there are these pieces of plastic here whose purpose is to keep the front guide wires in place. So you can just press them here like this, make sure the pickup has got plenty of wire to do its job freely, and press this wire also in place like this. So at this point, this is what you want your car to look like. This will come out a few times during the installation of the chip, but for now you can get the feeling of where we want the front wire to go. Next, SP43. Okay, at this point I have to explain you how to set up the SP43 in order to use it on digital D132 with the Monoposto car. This IC is done so that in standard cars it can be used directly. It is directly compatible with with Carrera Digital. But because this is a Monoposto, and because of the shape and the limited space, it has to be installed not sideways but in longitudinal position, and you need to add an extra LED with the purpose provided pads here. Now we need to prepare the SP43 in order to be put in the longitudinal direction inside the Monoposto car. To do that, and to add the extra infrared LED on wires, you need SP43 and the kit which comes with code SP32. SP32 is the infrared LED on wires, as we call it, and it includes one infrared LED, heat shrinking sleeve, and a piece of red and black thin and soft wire. Okay, so we have SP43, SP43 here, and we want to end up with something that looks exactly like this. See, it's an SP43 with red wire coming out from this round pad here. It's marked with a small A, meaning anode. The black wire comes from this square pad here, marked with K, which is cathode. And this is the LED, red wire, black wire, heat shrinking sleeve to keep the soldering joints separated from each other. And as you can see, we have shaped the LED legs like this, because when we are going to put this in the car, the LED will point downwards in the chassis like this. So first thing, take your SP43 and make sure that these four legs have been trimmed. In some cases they have left the factory without being trimmed. This will create trouble when you put the SP43 inside your car. So take good tool like this, good modeling tool. You can buy it at the hardware store, but make sure you buy a good tool, and you just trim it away. In this case they have been trimmed already. Make sure you don't damage the rest of the chip, of course. You may trim them one by one, or even the four of them. Just make sure you don't remove, you break anything else on the chip. Now you have to cut the red wire and the blue and the black wire to measure. If you look at what we want to end up with, we have here roughly 40 millimeters of red wire, extra wire, because this wire, you can leave extra wire because this wire is very soft, very thin, so it won't create any trouble if there's extra wire, which an inch is about 1.1 inch and a half, and the black wire is shorter, and it's let's see, say about 25 millimeters or 1 inch roughly. Okay, so we cut these wires to measure. We have like about 40 millimeters and 25 millimeters here, just about 1 inch. Okay, so this is what you need, and you also need 2 pieces of heat shrinking sheath here. Okay, now strip the wire, both ends, just as little as possible, like this. Black and black. Okay, and now comes the most difficult part, which is soldering. We cannot provide these wires and LED pre-soldered, so, and the soldering skill is something that is very helpful, very useful for any slot car racer. Okay, now the difficult part, soldering. First, I need magnifying glasses. Now, you don't laugh at me, okay? Please don't. I know what I look like with these glasses, so don't laugh at me. We want the LED to look like this. You have, if you look at that, black on the left, and black is the shortest pin, red on the right. So let's shape with the pliers the LED like we want. Okay, we bend it like this, bend it like Beckham, Okay, 1, 2, second angle, and again 90 degrees, like this. Yeah, you're not laughing at me, aren't you? Okay, so you see, jokes apart, we have short leg, long leg, oops, short leg, I said long leg, black, red, and now it's time to cut the legs of this LED, but we will grow them longer with wires, like a lizard's tail. Remember, now you look at that, look at this, the black, okay, look at that, look at this. We remember the black is on the left and the red is on the right. If you have any doubts, mark the leg. If you think you may forget it, mark the leg with a black marker. Now, let's first put some solder on the wires. This is the first thing that has to be done before soldering everything together. Okay. They look all right. And now it's time to put some solder also here on the LED legs. So we have now bent now our LED legs, and we need to solder. To solder well, we need some help, and we need some help from this guy here to keep it together. I don't have a soldering vise here with me, so I will use a rubber band, and this will help me see what it is like. This will keep the LED well in place while I do the soldering. It's very convenient, and you don't need to buy other equipment. Soldering there, soldering there. If this wire hasn't come out like you wish, in the SP42 kit there's more, so you can cut it to measure like as you want. So now it's very easy, everything stays in place. Red is okay, sorry, black is okay. Do now with the red. You see how they our assistant is doing a very good job. Heat shrink, it's probably a bit too long. It's a bit too long. Trim it to the proper measure. There. Slide it on. Now, the best thing to have now is a source of hot hair, a hot hair gun, but a big hot hair gun may be too much. You may shrink the sleeves with some touch of the soldering iron, like this. It's not probably what they teach you at Electronic Soldering 101, but it does its job. So we've now prepared the LED that looks like the one that I have shown you previously. Okay? Yeah. I remove the rubber band now, set this gentleman free, and I would proceed to soldering on the IC itself. Okay, we prepare it, we keep it in place again with the pliers so that it won't move. We are ready. Now notice where the red goes there, and the black goes there. So look at this black wire. It's too long, and therefore it's going to get trimmed a little bit. Like this, okay? Put some soldering on the round, then on the square. All right, so looks good. Black on the square and red on the round pad. We're done. We have turned the SP43 in an SP43 plus SP32 wire on cable, which will be used in the next step to put everything together in the car. All right, now back to normal glasses. There we are. So now we have the car in our hands. You can remove the soldering wood from the table, and we have SP43. It has been trimmed, the SP32 LED is in place. We just have to put the SP43 in the car. Take a look at the white connector. We don't use that, but it must face the motor side. So in the chassis there are two small tabs, retaining tabs, 1, 2, there's a hole there, and the hole is where this LED goes. Route these wires with care because they may break to the left of the IC, preferably on top like this, and press the IC in place. Okay, it's under both tabs. It stays slightly bent to the left because some IC are touching on the chassis, but it's okay. So now take this connector here and bend it like that. Connect the other connector here together and press it on this side like this. This is where it has to stay. You can help yourself with some blue tack here to keep it in place. Now route these two wires through these U-shaped retainers. Make sure the pickup has enough wire to do its job properly. Now that we have the car in this situation here, with the connectors like this, take the LED and keep it off the chassis for a while. Make sure that your wires leave space for the front screw and that there is space on the left and on the side and on the right side for the body to match the chassis. So if you have followed me up to this point, your car should look like this. You have the Carrera Digital D132 SP43 in place there. You have the front wires from the pickup routed through the cable holders and to the connector, which is in this position here, and the connector that goes from the motor to the chip itself in this position. As you can see, it's all very tight, it's tightly packed, but there is just enough space to put back the body with the driver on top of all this wiring. We leave the LED and its thin wires out from the body to the left side near the hole, as we explained before. Back, and if everything's been done together, you won't need much pressure to reassemble the body on the car. As you can see, it's just a matter of having everything in the right place. It's tight, like I said, but it's obviously feasible. Now put the screws back one after the other, and I suggest to start from these two screws because they are the easiest ones. Okay, last but certainly not least, the front screw. Put it in place like this. and it's done. We only need one thing now to make the car ready for racing on the track with the Carrera Digital system. The LED must show its face through this hole. Take the LED with the pliers, and there it is, through the hole. Keep it in place with a little bit of blue tack. This may change in the future to get rid of the blue tack, but for now it's the best solution. You can glue it in place also. Do not use chan glue, because if it blooms, and if it blooms on the LED, it's a bad thing because it will interfere with the infrared transmission. So a bit of blue tack, if you don't mind, is safe and can be removed at will. So now the car is ready. You can proceed putting rear wing, front wing, magnet in the front wing as you wish, if you wish, and you're ready to go. Thank you for following me up to this point. I hope you find this useful. Well, I hope you'll have had a good holidays, and you'll find time to enjoy your cars during the rest of the summer. For now, goodbye.